Welcome to Kellums and Grossi podcast. Two women, two mics, talking love, life, and the things that slip past our filter.
Inspired by reels and real life, I'm Jennifer Grossi.
And I'm Terri Kellums.
So recently, a couple of things have shown up where you and I have talked about a topic that I ended up talking to another girlfriend. She was talking about the same topic. We were talking about dating inside of marriage. It was kind of fascinating to me because I was like, oh my gosh, there's a theme in the air. And then, of course, as you're scrolling, Instagram heard me, Facebook heard me. Now I'm seeing all the reels about dating your spouse. And I'm like, okay, this is the topic. We need to go to this topic. So in the whole course of this, your husband posted a post on Facebook, and you sent it to me because we were having this discussion. And I'm going to read it because you gave me permission to, but I'm just going to say this was so well written and he is so charmingly funny. And I did change only one word, only one, because, well, you'll get there. You'll know. Okay. So this is what he wrote. And this was based on something that you had, and you need to explain it after, but this is what he said. It was a PSA to my fellow husbands. Yesterday was my wedding anniversary. Terri said she wanted a dilly-dally to celebrate. Sounded kind of interesting, so I said I'm all for it. Took a turn for the worse when she said to meet her at the local Hobby Lobby. She proceeded to cruise up and down every aisle. Yes, just like I do at Home Depot. But didn't put a single item in the cart. She would pick something up, look it over while asking me if I thought it would look good in the house. I survived the first couple of questions by nodding and smiling. I knew it was going to be bad, but when we got to the pillow section, she asked which one would look good on the couch. Out of an entire wall of pillows, I asked if they had any plain white ones. Her eyes rolled in disgust. That should have been my hint to run out of the store. Fairly sure all the husbands were waiting for one of us to bolt so we could all go, but it never happened. I was kind of panicking and looked at the other husbands for suggestions on how to act, and all I saw was looks of confusion, anxiety, and a little fear, to be honest with you. I swear, one poor guy even mouthed the words, "Help me." I'm ashamed to say I left him in the fake plant section. Someone please check on him, by the way. Go to the plate section and the bowl section. Don't ever say, they all look blue to me. Because even if it is just an almost unnoticeable variation of the last four you looked at, it's an entirely different color, and somehow one looks good, but the others don't. Managed to work our way to the checkout. Felt really awkward when I bypassed the line and placed the empty cart back where we found it. Was willing to volunteer for a strip search, non-invasive, of course, to prove that I wasn't hiding any merchandise on me. Ran into one of the husbands, also returning an empty cart. We gave each other a nod of appreciation and relief as we exited the store with the wives in tow. Lesson learned. Clarify date night plans with the wifey before agreeing to them, and maybe take a friend for backup. I love this. This is his brain. It just showed up in the screen. And by the way, he's a great writer. Great writer. I loved it entirely. What? Tell me what happened.
Okay, so the night before we saw Too Short Not that the wife was defining dilly-dallying and he was watching it and laughing his butt off because he doesn't like to do that kind of stuff. And I even said to him when the short was done, I go, you never do that with me.
Well, tell me again, we talked about, I grew up with dilly-dallying, but he said he'd never heard that.
No, he had never heard the term dilly-dallying.
And so what
He
did
did
you
not.
tell him that it meant?
No, you just dilly-dally. You just like look around, touch stuff, comment.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
dilly-dally.
That's what I thought too. You just kind of mosey
Mosey.
around the store. Yes, mosey. Mosey is another word for it.
Oh, he surprised me the next day. It was our anniversary. Well, first of all, he asked me, like, what do you want to do to celebrate our anniversary? And I go, you don't ask. You don't
Yes.
ask your wife
Right.
how she wants to celebrate your
Yes.
anniversary. I
Yes.
said, you make a plan and then you tell her. And that's what she really, really wants you to do. And so he goes, all right. And he was on the phone with me when he said this. And he goes, all right, I'm going to call you back. So he hangs up. 5 minutes later, he calls me and he goes, all right, so I'm taking you out to dinner and then we're going to go dilly-dallying. And I was so touched because, I've run into these couples and you and I've talked about this before. I am the random conversation starter at the
Yes.
stores. And
Particularly the spice aisle.
yeah, and two different occasions I've come home and told my husband these stories, where once within TJ Maxx or Home Goods, I guess it was, and this guy and this woman had a very like intense discussion about pillows, and she pointed one out and he said what he thought about it, and then they decided on pillows together and they went in the shopping cart, and I stood there with my mouth open like, and I go, how do you get him to do that? And they just laughed and we talked about, couples shopping together and that kind of thing. Well, then like more recently, I was in Costco and this husband and wife are going up and down every aisle, and, sometimes how you just keep running into the same couple all through the
Yeah.
store, and they were so cute. They were so cute, and I said I must have asked a very similar question, like, "How do you get him to come to Costco with you? My husband wouldn't step foot in the store." He said the sweetest thing that touched my heart. He said, "I just like being with my wife, so wherever she wants to go, I wanna be there with her." Aw, like, so
What is
sweet.
it is really sweet because well, how old are they? Were they like older people? Were
Say
they
just a
middle?
little bit older. I'd say
Yeah.
just a little bit older than me and Brian. Yeah, not
Yeah.
much.
Well, you know what? That's not a guy who's been like from birth like that. Let's be honest. Like somewhere
Mm,
along the line,
he's been
he was
trained.
helped into that. Trained is the word, but I don't really want to use that word because I'm like Stephen would bristle. Like, you don't train me. Although he would actually admit that change is happening. But it's interesting because as we were talking about this, and he, the fact that he thought like first of all he got off the phone and then he got back to making your reservations for your anniversary, which I think was like you just trained him. You just like, hey, this is how I want to be treated. And
Mhm.
I think that that is still essential. I mean, you did it nicely. You weren't being bitchy about it or anything like that. And I think that that's part of what men need. I think my husband would say that because he's constantly saying, I can't read your mind. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
they don't want you to beat around the bush. They don't get
Right.
subtlety. You just
Right.
need to
Tell
be
me
direct.
what would make you happy because
Yeah,
do you feel like in Brian's mind, like your happiness is important to him?
very,
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that way too. We both are we're both very into our marriages. We really appreciate and
Mhm.
we work really hard for the marriage that we have. And I think part of it is appreciating and recognizing the value of the fact that we have men who we're so grateful for because I've been with a man who wasn't. I was not,
Well,
not grateful for
and
him in
we've
the end,
also
but
had enough bumps in our marriage
yeah,
that you appreciate when you're on the other side of those bumps and things are,
that's
you
true.
know,
That's
a
true.
little bit smoother for the most part.
Well, you know what's interesting too is that when I was doing this, I was looking up these stats and I found these little stats inside of the Knot, which is the marriage site
Yeah,
where everybody goes to get married, and I
yeah,
thought that's kind of interesting because I'm like, this is where people would go when they are just about to get married.
getting
They
yeah.
probably don't even realize what's ahead. So maybe this is good information for them. But I've been married this October; it will be 20 years, and I am with him for 22 all total with dating, and I think to myself, I think I need this more than the newlyweds. Like, in reality, the fact that you and I were talking about dating and my other friend, we were all kind of saying the same thing. Like, I want my husband to date me. I want him to date me. So what Brian did was like, that's honestly so sweet that he was like thinking
It
about what
really
you'd said
was.
and
And
be like,
I
"Oh,
Yeah, and my love language is not gifts. So the fact that he just like paid attention when we were watching that short the night before and listened to my words telling him like this is what I really want you to do is just like clean it for me. It's
I'm
one less
super
thing for
impressed."
me to have to think about. And then to do I think sometimes, if you think about things you heard when you're growing up, opposites attract and all that. I think this is one of those times where it doesn't work in your favor that opposites attract each other because
That is actually
you
true.
gotta, enjoy doing some things together. I know he doesn't enjoy shopping. For me, it's very relaxing and it's not about buying things. It's just about imagining, especially when you're building a house or, moving into a new home or anything like remodeling a room, whatever. It's just nice to go in and just try to imagine things and to have your partner just sort of like right there with you and, listening to you talk about it. And I don't know. There's just something that was really special to me. That was better than any gift he could have bought me. And I
Yeah.
I
Because
actually left you a message, or maybe I called you. I can't remember what it was. And I said, I want to tell you about what he got for me, but I can't tell you
yeah,
because I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
wait.
yeah, yeah.
It was just the sweetest.
You met your love language. And I think that that's a
We did.
huge portion of it. We talk about that, you and I, a lot about our
Yeah,
love languages and where we are with that. And our spouse paying attention to that. Like he paid attention to what your love language was. And he was like, boom, I've nailed it.
did a good job.
So this study that the Knot did, they actually talked to it looked like over 2,000 people in
Wow.
this, and so the question that they asked was, well, how often do married couples go on dates? And I was thinking, like, I wonder how many people even think about it. That there's a lot of couples who really don't even they don't date. But it said among the married surveyed respondents, about half of all the couples said that they went on 1 to 4 dates with their spouse in the last 3 months. 1 to 4
Good
within three
for.
months. So that's 3 months, 1 to 4. And I'm like,
It's
is
12
that
weeks.
enough? Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of like time. And then
Hmm.
it said 22% went on it 5 to 9 times, while 10% enjoyed 10 to 14 dates. and 11 replied that they went on 0 dates. So 11%.
I wonder what the age range for those people are,
They
though.
had it. They had the age
They
range, but it's further down. I'd have to go dig for it. But I know that in that time span, it said that the couples had at least 12 separate opportunities for at least one date per week. So while 10% were able to get somewhere within that range, a whopping 84% of all couples enjoyed less than one date a week, if any. And I'm like, ouch.
Yeah,
So so this topic is good for the reason that I think you, me, my girlfriend, we were talking about this and having the revelation that let's be real. Let's be so real about marriage because it's not perfect. I will come clean on the fact that Stephen and I are not perfect by far. He will say the same thing. And
yeah,
I think you and I have both agreed that
yeah,
there like it ebb and wanes. Like there's really great times when we're dating, and then there's times when we're like, we're in a slump, man.
yeah,
We're in a
yeah.
slump. Do you feel the same?
Well, our one of our mutual favorite shows is Married at First Sight, and that Pastor Cal that's on there, he always says marriage ain't for punks. And me and Brian say that to each other all the time. Marriage
That
ain't for
is
punks
so true.
because it's not easy. And if you don't put the work in, and for anyone who says that, marriage isn't work, I challenge you. I would
No,
challenge you to a duel. No,
no, I would challenge that. I would take that
it's
challenge
work.
because
Yeah.
I think this. I think that people who think that it's easy is somebody's in the relationship being super quiet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What'd be really fun is if our listeners would leave a comment and say, like, how long have you been married and how often do you go out on date nights? And here's the thing,
I would love that.
we have to be fair about this because honestly, I don't remember like when my kids were growing up, like if I ever went on a date night.
Really.
It was just challenging to find someone to
Yeah.
watch the kids,
That's true. There is that
so
whole season. It's not you're
yeah.
not saying it like as if nobody else is doing the same thing. I've known people who even in that season, like they set aside a time and they
Hmm.
said, "Here is my babysitter," and boom, we're going to go out.
Yeah. I imagine it's easier if you have like family support, which I didn't really have. So
Yeah.
there was no family to kind of step up and say, I'll watch,
No,
the
you're
kids on a
absolutely right.
Saturday
It
night.
does make a big difference.
My mom was out enjoying her Saturday night. She didn't want to babysit the kids.
Oh, wow, yeah, right,
That's
totally.
how that
I
went.
might be the same way when I finally become a grandma and be like, "Bye, I gotta go, I've already done mine." I don't know, I don't we'll see. We did talk a little bit about the fact that our men have, obviously, Ryan's idea of that dilly-dally date was very different than yours, but we found these 2 reels that just cracked me up because it was so interesting to me, the different perspectives. It was 2 different men talking about what they thought constitutes a date. So,
Yes, I loved it.
let's show
Let's
the
play it.
first one.
The older gentleman, that one.
Yes, yes.
A lot of times when my wife says she's going out to the grocery or shopping or doing chores, I'll say, hey, I'll go with you. We do that because we like to be together, so I want to be with her. We'll do the grocery shopping. We'll maybe make a few other stops. Maybe we'll get something to eat too. And a lot of times on our way home, I'll say, this was a great date. Even though it was chores and stuff we had to do, to me, it's still a date. We're together, we're laughing, we're talking about life, we're holding hands, and we get something to eat. But then I saw a definition of a date. A date is when you get dessert. If you eat out and you don't get dessert, it's not a date. What do you think? And maybe appetizers too. Dessert or appetizers, then it's a date.
I want to know what kind of dessert are we talking about?
It was. There were in the comments section, there was all these people who were saying, "Well, what constitutes dessert?" And I thought, "Oh, that would make Steven very happy." Like, "Well, what kind of dessert we got in here? It's not
Yeah.
cake, right? Oh, lots of dessert." Then we saw another guy who also put together something that was kind of defining a date as well. Let's
But
play his.
before we play that one, I just wanted to ask you something about that particular video. So do you and Steven go off and run errands like that together? Does he go to the grocery store
Oh,
with
yes,
you?
a lot. Yes, absolutely. Steven, okay. Steven is the opposite of Brian in this area. He will go and spend ample time in Home Goods and ample time in Costco, and he just loves
Does
it.
he do that thing where you like point out something and he like comments on it or says if he likes it or doesn't like it or
He's the one who will pick up the pillow and be like, "What do you think of this one?" Yeah, he's different. He's different. But I say
oh,
that, and let me tell you the downside to that, so that you don't feel like, "Oh my gosh, I wish I had one like that." The downside is that he will drag home a bag of goodies that I'll be like, "We no, we don't need that, babe. No." And he'll try to bring things home that I'll be like, It's tacky as all get out. What did you bring that home for? But I can't say that to him
Right.
nicely. So I have to be
Right.
like, babe, I don't think that suits our,
Yeah.
that's not our style.
Go with the vision, honey.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I,
exactly.
I don't I don't necessarily like going to the grocery store with Brian. I can just count on one hand maybe the number of times we've been in the same grocery store together, but because I am all about like quality food. Like I want to buy organic.
Right, right,
I'm looking at labels, like I'm looking out for stuff I don't want in my food. And he's just like looking at the price tag and throwing stuff in the cart, you know? So
right.
I don't necessarily have any kind of envy for the woman and the husband that go
Good,
grocery shopping
good. Because I'm gonna
together.
tell you what, I think no matter which side of that coin, there's like a good side and then there's not so good side. And I think you have to
Yeah.
navigate that no matter which way you go. But I will tell you right now, it's not a date. I don't think it's a
Not a
date.
date. But when we were first together in the early stages of our relationship and Saturday mornings, I don't know, Saturday mornings have always been a little sacred for me. And I just remember this very short period of time in my life when my youngest daughter, the one who just got married, she loved to sleep in. So she never wanted to get up early with me and do anything. So while I'm waiting for her to get up, I'm like out washing my car and, running around doing these little errands. I've just always loved that time of Saturday morning. So when Brian and I were in the early stages of our relationship and he wanted to go out and do those kind of things in the morning, I was like, yes, I finally have somebody who wants to do it with
Yeah.
me. And I did enjoy it. And well, let's watch the second video and then maybe I'll tell you why I kind of tie these two things together a little bit.
I want to make it very clear, guys, that dating isn't going out to dinner. That's called eating.
Yeah.
You can make that a date. You
Yeah.
can, but if you're just going out because you didn't make dinner and you're just going out to do that, you can turn that role into that. But just don't assume that you went out and talked about your day and the kids. That was a date.
So define how will you change that?
Easily. You bring the fun in, you bring the play into that.
Yeah.
If we're going out, then we're gonna play, we're gonna flirt. It's gonna be, and if she's not laughing and having fun, then this isn't a date,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I have to 100% agree with that.
Me too.
If
Me too.
if just going out because it's just convenient to go out, that's not a date. Like to me, date is just like it's a super intentional time that you set aside, that you plan ahead, and for me, this gets a little muddy for me sometimes with Brian because I can see why he does this, and I'll tell you what it is in a second. I can see why he does it. At the same time, it makes me feel like it's less of a date. So his job, he has a pretty large territory where he works. He works out in the field. And so he could be an hour away from home at his last stop of the day. And it's a Friday night, and we typically always do our date night on Friday night. And he will call me and say, where do you want to go? I'll just meet you there. And I don't like it. I don't like it for two reasons. Number one, he's coming in his work clothes. And that means I don't get to see him cleaned up, smelling nice and fresh. And
Okay. That's
it makes it
understandable.
just feel like it's a convenient thing that we have to check off our list for the night. It's just like
Right.
that one last thing on the list. And number two, like I want to be driven to my date. Like I want you to get in the car. Like I want to be the passenger princess. Like I don't want to drive myself to my own date. So those are my two things. Like when he does that, I get it logistically. It just makes more sense for him not to go another 20 minutes out of his way for us to turn around and go 25 minutes back into town. I get it. It's not ideal for me.
No, you make a great point. I have to say, like, I thought the same thing. In fact, last Friday night, Stephen and I went out and he called me and said, hey, do you want to go out on a date? And I love that. I love being asked to go out on a date. Yes, I do. I want to. Where are we going? And he said, okay, how about if we go to this place called Black Radish? Yes, that sounds great. He said, I'll meet you there, which happens a lot. But in my head, I was like, I'm like you, I want him to come home, pick me up, and take me out. In fact, after that, when I expressed that to him, he's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Let me come home. I'm going to come home and grab you, and then we'll go. So as he got to the door, I texted my boys and I said, guys, sorry, my date's here. I got to go. I'll see you after dinner. And that to me was like, because I could tell I felt good about it. Like my brain felt good about it. So I relaxed. I had a great time. He took me
Yeah.
out. He's the one who recognizes that he's driving. So he has one drink and he's done. I'm the one who he literally said to the waitress, bring my wife another one because she's not going to drive. I felt totally taken care of and like wooed, like a wooing thing. I think that's magical.
So there's this place that is one of our favorite spots we go to, and it unfortunately has a lot of TVs in it. There's
Yes.
TVs like on
Yes.
every
I know
wall.
where you're going.
Oh, I don't like that when there's TVs. I try to position myself so the TV isn't
Fully.
very visible for him. But we're sitting there on our last date and this couple, so we always sit on the same side of the table. So you imagine if it's a
You
four
do?
top, we always sit on the same side of the table. And it throws our
Interesting.
waiter off because they always put the menus so that you're sitting across from each other, but we always sit next
Right.
to each other. We just
Why
always
do you
have.
do why do you do that? What's
I don't even know what because early on we were just like always wanting to touch each other and be
yeah.
close, and
Yeah.
I think that's where it started. But so this couple was sitting like right in our line of vision, like right across from us. They didn't talk the entire night, the entire
Oh
time
my
we were.
gosh.
All they did was look at their phones. Like, there's I got my phone in my hand right now for the people not watching us on YouTube. Just looked at their phones, put their phone down, chew a couple bites, pick their phone back up. Once in a while, it might be like a question or just very brief, but like they did not have conversation. And that is always like a really good like opportunity for me to say to my husband, like, that's where we don't want to be. Like that's the goal of date night is to connect and continue to develop the emotional intimacy. It's not for us to sit and look at our phones because we can sit home and look at our phones.
So true that's again another great point. And I really believe that that's the thing that okay, so as we're processing through this idea, I agree with you very much. I've seen the same couples like do the same things, and it hurts my heart so much
Yeah.
because you have this opportunity to sit together and really connect. Whether it's sitting side by side or across from each other, it doesn't. To me, you still are like I. Okay, the reason I like what you said about the fact that you sit next to each other has to do with the fact that you have the opportunity to touch, like physically touch the arms or touch your hands, whatever. And you're probably very much invested in the conversations in that direction. I sit across from Stephen. The reason I like that is because I can look at eyeball to eyeball because
It is all
eyeballs
well.
are everything to me.
Yeah.
So we have conversations and I know that we're going to focus in our brain, like for our relationship. So I
Yeah.
do that. But we're missing if we're just going to look at our phones. Or, like you said, if we go to a sports bar where all the TVs are up and there's some game going on and he's doing this while he's there, even if it's a family dinner, I,
Yeah.
I hate that. I know that's particular, but that's a girl spot.
Yeah.
We were looking at reasons why people stop dating. So there was some common barriers that people had in the relationships, like what gets in the way. And you kind of brought up a little bit of it earlier, like the whole like family, like you don't have family to support or whatever, but there's like busy schedules and family responsibilities and there's financial constraints where people can't go out and they think, oh, well, I can't date that person if I can't go, my spouse, if we can't go to a dinner someplace, which is not true. It's not true because you can still go places and do things and find ways to do it very inexpensively, but just be together. Or you get too comfortable in routine and familiarity.
Yeah. And even if you are making the effort to like go, like I said, ours is like a Friday night thing. Um, I think you have to still be intentional about the purpose of it. Like the guy said in the video, like it's not about going just and eating. It's about why. Why are we going there to take this time out of our schedule? And when the first gentleman was talking about, um, just running errands and doing chores with his wife, if maybe he's right, like maybe he's correct. Like maybe if you say, oh well, we're gonna stop for ice cream while we're out running around. And if you're taking time off, I don't know. I feel like too often Brian and I, again, we've been not great about this lately. Too often it's so transactional. Like we're sitting there at dinner, we're obviously eating because you have to eat dinner every night, and it becomes all about building the house or
Yeah, you have a huge project on your plate.
yeah, and so I feel like I just think you have to be so intentional about it and
So
set
explain to me when
aside.
you say intentional, what would that look like to you? What's the examples that you have?
Yeah, like, so I think it's I think you talked about this to me once before about your apps that you and Steven like having certain topics that you're going to talk about, like diving in a little. Like this last date night we had, something happened. I can't even recall what it was, but it like sparked this very intense deep conversation where I shared something with him I don't know if I'd ever shared with him before. You don't do that when you're sitting looking at your phones or when you're watching the TVs on the wall.
Or
Like
when
you
you're
should do
just
that.
talking about your house or
Yeah.
anything that is surrounding what's happening in your life.
Yeah. I like what that one guy said. If she's not laughing and you're having a good time, like that's not really a date. That's
Yeah, if
just
you're not
transaction.
flirting, bringing the
Yeah.
fun.
So I think lately more of our Friday night outs have been very transactional. And,
Oh, yeah.
that's why
You're
I
in a
was gonna say,
season.
yeah, we are in a season. So when I say being intentional about it, it's, I don't even know if it's like a goal for the evening or if it's just I'm going to put aside like all this other stuff. I'm not going to think about what's on my phone. I'm not going to think about phone calls I have to return or appointments we need to make. What kind of bricks going on the columns of the house. It's just going to be about connecting, like connecting with each other, intentional connecting.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about those the common barriers that keep people from dating,
Mhm.
there's also like the psychological elements of it too that they had put down, and part of it was recognizing that you have to communicate like with each other. You have to figure out how to communicate. Like you can't just decide that the other person knows what you want. And that goes for men too. They can't just go, I'm assuming that she knows what I feel or I think. It's an impossible, you're setting yourselves up, I believe. I will set my husband up or he will set me up for a disaster if either one of us goes, oh, I know what you'd like for this. So having a good conversation about it and thinking about the fact that there is like the ability to communicate over it, it just makes it such a major difference. Like for Steven, as he was hearing that last reel, he's in the background, he's walking through the room and he's listening to the reel. I don't even know he's listening to the reel. And then he yells out of the closet, I don't believe that. And I said, what don't you believe? What are you talking about? He goes, I don't think you can have, like, I think some date nights you sit down and you have a hard conversation. I said, that's not a date night. That's just a conversation that needs to be had. He goes, no, I don't agree. We could sit there. I said, no, because what you want to do is come out of it having a close connection. Hard conversations don't necessarily always lead to the connection. In fact, it could splinter you for the evening. And then that was a complete disaster. So what kind of a date is that? That's,
Yeah,
sorry, that's crap. That's not,
I agree with you. I
he came
definitely agree
around
with you.
after a few minutes, but
Yeah. So does Steven always set the tone for your date nights or sometimes are they your ideas?
sometimes I do them. Sometimes I've asked him out too. A couple of weeks ago, I asked him out. And I also had to say to him not that long ago, babe, I need you to be more thoughtful about this because I don't want to always be the one who's not like I am. I'm just like, I just was having a moment. Okay, I'll tell you why I was having a moment at this point. So I make my husband a lunch every morning. Okay, this has not happened for life. This has happened because of the job that he does. And sometimes he gets stuck in his office for like seriously 12 hours. And so when that happens, he doesn't have a chance to run out. And when I started realizing that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to start making him these lunches. So I would make him like a breakfast and a lunch and have snacks and have drinks. And it's a whole big bag of stuff, right?
Hmm.
Don't think I'm a hero because I really want to quit this job. I really do. I really do.
I
But
know.
he's
I
so
agree with
into it that I'm not going to do it because it would hurt his heart. I can tell.
you. Yeah.
Because inside this bag is always a note. I write him a note and it's always some kind of a little love note. And then he goes off to work. But the thing was, I'm writing all the love notes and I'm packing bags and I'm doing all these things. And he's so happy that he forgot in the process in the past number of months. Oh, yeah, she probably needs something too.
Yeah. She
And
needs her
so,
lip to be filled up a little bit.
right. And I've learned the
Yeah.
hard way that I don't believe that bitterness is a great tool. So I think if I'm going to go at a date situation with him, I'm seriously going to ask him what kind of date he would like, but I'm also going to tell him what kind of a date I would like and
Yes.
explain what I don't want. Which, by the way, don't you feel like that's easier to say what you don't want than what you do want?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what is the best date that you and Steven have ever experienced together?
Okay. There was this one. This was a couple of wedding anniversaries ago, and it was here once we moved to Florida. And I'm going to say the best date that Steven and I ever went on was so creative and it was spectacular in all the ways. So in the morning, he says to me, just get dressed. I want you to dress nice, but not too crazy. And we're going somewhere. I had no idea where we we're going. And the next thing I know, he takes me to one location and he goes, this is the first location. And I'm like, first? You mean there's more?
Depths.
Yes, the whole day he took me to different locations. The first one, he took me to this little restaurant that was like very, very Southern food, like Southern food. And I was so fascinated by all the Southern food that I was so into the experience. And like, I was just charmed by the fact that it was deep South and it was just rugged, rugged food. After that, he took me to this winery where it was just him and me doing wine tasting at this little winery where you had to call in and say, we're here. Okay. Then he took me to this wildlife center on the other side of town where I got to like go in and there was, oh my gosh, there were monkeys and there was this kangaroo experience and I got to go in and like feed and pet the kangaroo. And I am so into that. There was baby goats. There was like charming stuff everywhere. It all culminated at a dinner in the evening. And I was like so full and so happy. And he planned the whole thing. I did nothing. I didn't even know where I was going. He would drive to the next location. I didn't know. It
That
was
is so
fabulous.
neat.
It was fabulous.
What a
What
good
about
guy. That
you?
was a great date.
It was
Oh my gosh.
your best date.
The best date
And who
that Brian
planned
and
it?
I
Was it
he
him or you?
did.
Okay.
He did. The best date we've ever been on. It's more of just like a thoughtful thing. So that must be a theme for me. So our very first date. So we met on Match.com before there were even dating apps. And we had talked a little bit, ahead of time because I was traveling for work that week. I was gone for a week right after we very first met online. Hadn't met in person yet. We had moved from the website to the phone. We were now texting and sending each other funny memes and different things. And he made arrangements for us to meet at one of my very favorite places, which I was so surprised he remembered on our very first date. So we met at this wine bar, had an amazing date, whatever. A year in, and during this first year, he's like making fun of where we went on our first date. So he's like mocking it. He's just be funny because it's not his style. It's just totally not his thing, but totally mine.
Yeah, he knew it was
And
yours.
yeah. And so on our first anniversary of our first dates, he took me back to the scene of the crime, took me back
And
to that little
oh,
wine bar. And I was so surprised because I thought we would never go there again. I thought there's
oh,
no way he's ever taken me back there. That was a one-time deal. But no, he took me right back to the spot and it was cute. I really
I love
appreciate
that.
that thoughtfulness.
Thoughtfulness, it is part of your love language.
Yeah, I
Something
think
that
so
is
for sure.
sentimental, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a keeper for sure. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like I think the whole idea that we're discussing when we were talking about this, I know that it gets hard. It gets hard to date, and it gets like there's so many options for dating. And I found this refresher. So we're gonna talk about that, you and I. And it's like the idea that you don't have to go one way. We are talking about people who can't afford to maybe go out on a date. So what? There's a lot of other opportunities to make a date. And there were places. So I'm going to let you start it because it was
Okay. Yeah, I think these are great. This is a great list. So the first one on our list is a coffee date and just going out, whether it's, going out to a little cafe, finding your little favorite spot, or just making sure to set aside time in the morning before you get off to your busy day. Just sitting and having that first part of your day together,
yeah,
having a cup of coffee.
yeah.
Um, I think it's
It's not
priceless.
hard. It's not
It's
complicated.
not hard. And you're doing it anyway. So why not do it
Exactly.
together?
Exactly. And there is something for that. There really is. We were the second one on the list, and there's 11 of these items, but the second one on the list that was learning together. So not that long ago, Stephen and I did one of these where you take a class and you learn a
Love it.
new skill, or you have some kind of like activity that you both enjoy, like dancing or art or language classes. In our case, we took a sourdough bread making class.
Gosh, I love that idea.
It was so much fun, and it actually
Yeah.
did do the connecting part for sure.
Yeah. The third one is cooking at home, which we've actually talked about this one, Brian and I together, because I do all the cooking, and it's kind of a joke within our family that Brian tends to burn everything. So he doesn't usually pitch in. I even do a lot of the cooking on the grill, which is typically man to. We were talking about this, and he did say, and once in a while he likes to watch a cooking show on TV. So he did say, like, yeah, I think it'll be fun when we're retired and we have more time and just to kind of like be in the kitchen together and cook stuff. And
It's a
I
great
love
way.
like having a glass of wine while I'm cooking. So
Yeah.
like I'm all about cooking in the kitchen together, like just enjoying that time
Fully,
together.
fully. We don't do that very often, but when we do, we usually light up with music and we just put some candles, and you just, like I said, glass of wine. Perfect idea.
Yep.
Number
Um,
4 is fully your alley, by the way.
yeah, vacationing together. That is our love language together as a couple. We love to vacation and we've had a lot of talks with different couples over the years about this.
Yeah.
And, everybody has their own vacation style, but Brian, our philosophy is it doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be somewhere where you can go and make memories together, go on adventure, visit a new place and enjoy, different cultures and different food and stuff. So yeah, even if it's just a long weekend,
Yeah.
do some vacationing together.
Yeah, I agree. Getting
That's
away
what I
from
was-
the regular parts of your life so that you can regroup as a couple is so, so important. Number 5 was late night rendezvous. And when I read that, I thought, what? You're at the same house. Where are you going to rendezvous? But then it was kind of talking about how you could go out and do things such as driving it under the stars or walks on the beach. And I was thinking, like, you know how they used to have drive-in movie theaters? You could still
But yeah,
find those sometimes. Like,
yeah,
that's a place you could go to, and that's a very inexpensive way, or it used to be anyway, to go and have a date. I mean, that's easy. You can take a
for
picnic. It's
sure.
so simple.
For sure. Shared hobbies. So trying to find hobbies that you enjoy together can strengthen your bond and create opportunities for meaningful conversations. For a while, we were in the habit of on Sunday mornings. We have so many neat places to go hiking around here. We were picking a different trail every Sunday morning to just go on a hike together, take our dogs. It's something we just really enjoy being
Yeah,
out in nature. So, and it's totally free,
right.
totally free.
It's hobbies. Number 7 was the wine experience. We love this. You and I love this because you can explore wineries or to go to tastings or workshops. You know, there's I don't know if you guys have this Total Wine. Do you guys have those out
Yes,
there? Okay.
yes, we do.
So in ours, I don't know if they have it in all of them, but in ours, they have like this whole room where you can actually sign up to do a wine class. And so they have different events and stuff in there, and you just sign up for them and you go to them. I think it's kind of a cool
That's
idea.
neat.
Give you an
That is
opportunity to
very,
learn something, have a little wine, enjoy
yeah.
yourself, new
I love
stuff.
it. Love it. Yeah. This is probably not well known about Southern Arizona, but we have tons of wineries around here.
I did
Tons.
not know that until you just recently said something about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, I did not
So
know.
that's something we've done a few times together since we lived down here.
I'd go with
Okay,
you.
number 8 is probably one of my favorites, and Brian and I do this, a game night. Like
Do you do that together?
yes, we love like playing cards or dice games. Even we love doing it with other couples as well, but we do it by ourselves occasionally.
I love
And it's
that.
one of our favorite things to do. Love it.
I think when that topic showed up, I thought to myself, okay, so I told you about this. So we have these apps. Not everybody is going to know about this, but we have these apps that I found for your relationship where they ask a lot of questions and helps you connect in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
One of those things, they had a game on there where there were charades. So it's like 9 o'clock at night and we start playing these charades, but you have to be really quiet because you're in your bedroom and you have to get out of bed and you're like making all these motions. And we were laughing hysterically. I mean, hysterically.
Gosh,
And the
how
thing
fun.
about that was at the end of all that, we were like so happy and so connected. And I think just something simple like that can be really good for your relationship.
Yeah, for
Number
sure.
9, shows.
Oh, I
Dude,
love going to comedy clubs. It's one of
do
my
you
favorite
really?
things. Yes.
I've not been to a comedy club in years, but they are fun. They're so fun.
Mhm.
Or going to a concert or
Yeah.
like a theater event, like if you went to go see a Broadway show or something like that. We've done
Mhm.
a lot of those. And for some reason, those, I don't know about you, but they kind of stick here like glue. Like we did this big thing. Like when we went to go see Andre Bocelli, it was like, boom, big. I think we're
Mhm.
going to one. Well, my husband doesn't know this yet, but by the time this airs, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
We're going to a Brandon Lake concert coming up in
Oh, okay.
October. But I already know that's going to be like a moment. Like we'll go and we'll stay at a place and, you can make a
Mhm.
huge moment out of something not
Yeah.
enormous.
Yeah, I love it. I love that idea. Okay, number 10 is volunteering together. And I gotta say, I have so much credit to my company that my husband works for because they provide volunteer opportunities for the employees and their spouses and children at least once a year. And so the entire time Brian and I have been together, just celebrated 13 years together, we do a volunteer event together every single year. And it has been so rewarding to do these things. I never knew volunteering could feel so good, but it
Do you guys
that
feel like at the end, like you're more connected because of the experience or because of the work you're doing? What's the
that's a really good question. I think because of the work you're doing, you do feel it does give you that warm and fuzzies on the inside, and you go away from the experience knowing you experienced that as a couple together, and it's something that that bonds you together.
I
Yeah,
like that.
for sure.
Well, the final one that was on this list was doing okay, DIY projects together. And I
Well, this
sat
is
there
this is
reading
a
this
mixed bag.
thing. I'm like, be careful what you ask for. I
Yes.
cannot say, and when I read this to Stephen, he busted out too, because we both were like, no, the reason for that is if I'm going to do a DIY project with Stephen, you better prepare because this is a hill. Do you really want to climb on that hill and die there? Because that's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to argue, no, it shouldn't be like this. I'm a detail person. He is not. So if he paints a wall, he doesn't care if it gets out of the line. Meanwhile, Jennifer's over there panic stricken over the fact that there's a line that he went out of. And how are we going to fix that? Because it's already on the dark color. And then
Yeah.
you guys are building
Uh,
a whole house
I
together.
know, and it's our third house we built together, and people will ask us like, how do you survive this?
For
And
real.
someone just asked Brian this the other day, and I was within earshot. So I wasn't part of the conversation, but I was really interested to hear what he had to say. What was and he said, no, we've really developed a really good system where he makes the majority of the decisions for the outside of the house, like landscaping and such. And I make the majority of the decisions for what goes on in the inside of the house. We do work really well together. I'm not going to say that we haven't gotten upset with each other because obviously we have, but for the most part, I think we do really well at this. This is an area where we kind of shine.
Yeah, you
Um,
have to. You have to.
yeah,
You've been
yeah,
three. This is the third one. So you have to. Plus, there's another one in the future. So I
yeah.
marvel at this because I don't, maybe it's because Stephen and I we don't have the, like, we're not major DIYers. I can paint, he can
Mhm.
paint, but there's a place that is special. And if a couple can communicate through that and not lose their cool, I say that's a totally awesome relationship that's developed in an area I have not yet developed.
Yeah, that being said, I do have to be transparent and say I'm really, really sick of house building, so I'm ready to be done with this.
May
I'm
this
ready
be
for
the
no,
last one. No, next one
yeah,
is the last one.
yeah.
So,
So, tips for making date night a priority, just schedule a regular one. And then it just becomes like, this is the night like I said, ours is Friday night. And that was kind of my idea because I've always worked like the 9 to 5, Monday through Friday job. And to me, like Friday signals, like, yes, we made
yeah,
it through the week.
yeah,
Now we're kind of like celebrating. And
yeah.
it always gave me the night off of having to cook after a long week of working and commuting. So I like the idea of setting a regular date night. And listen, if you don't do any at all, if you're one of those couples that fall in that range where you don't do any at all, start start with a less than lofty goal, like maybe once a month,
For
like
real.
the third Thursday or the third Saturday or whatever it is of
Yeah.
every month, and just set it. And then just using the calendar. And you know what? It's kind of a cute idea. You could rotate. So like one month it's my turn to plan the date night, and next month it's your turn to plan it. And
That's a great
that
idea.
would give you an opportunity to be a little creative because sometimes, going out to dinner every Friday night, I wish there was something else that we were doing, but for
That's a
now
good idea. I'm
this
going to
is the
process
schedule
what you
I
just
plan.
said. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that. Well, in that whole line, you have to communicate. I was talking about that earlier, and one of the things is that you have to discuss what each partner wants for the date nights, for and from the date night. What do you want to get out of this? Is a question that if you ask your husband, you might be surprised at what he'd like to get out of it. Not all husbands are the same. Everybody's so specifically different. Some men are going to be like, "Hey, I want dessert." Dessert. Some men are going
Dessert.
to say, "No, I really want to, I want to connect with you. I just want to, or some people might say, I just want to, like, relax together. I just want to do that." There's lots of options, but you're never going to know unless you ask the question. And being open to try new things, because honestly, I'm going to tell you that the date that I was mentioning earlier was at the beginning a little scary for the girl who likes to know what's coming. And then
Oh,
when I just relaxed in it and just said, whatever, whatever, I'm just going to totally enjoy it. Man, did I have a fun time because
yeah.
I was open to whatever he was going to do and it didn't really matter. I mean,
Yeah.
let's face it, Terry, you and I we are not perfect people. Our husbands are not perfect
Absolutely
people.
not.
But man, this
Absolutely not.
dating thing, I don't know about you. I feel like to me, it's worth its weight in effort.
It's worth it, and you can't give up. I mean, even if you have like a season where you're not doing so great at it, which I'm raising my hand right now, like we're not hitting on all cylinders on date nights every single week. We can do better, but I know that we both want to, and that's the important part. If you're both committed to the idea of it, eventually we're gonna get over the little hump that we're going through right now and come on the other
You
side
mean
of
the
it.
big hump? Because it's a
The
massive.
big
I've
hump.
moved across the country. I feel like that might be the equivalent of that, but it's hard. It's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like these 11 items. We actually gave you the abridged version of this, but there is an expanded list of the 11 items that goes into a little bit more detail about how to achieve some of these ideas. And we're going to put that in the show notes, and the videos you saw. Use them. Send them to your husband. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
let him hear it.
All right, that's the end for our show today. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you next week.
For now.
We know you don't have to be here, but you are, and we appreciate that. You can help us grow this community by liking, commenting, and sharing this podcast with your friends. Also, by liking and following us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or anywhere else you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can find all the links in the show notes below. Just look for Kellums and Grossi. And thank you so much for being a part of it. The content of Kellums and Grossi podcast is intended for entertainment and general informational purposes only. We are not lawyers, therapists, or other licensed professionals, and nothing on this podcast should be taken as professional, medical, legal, or financial advice. Always consult a qualified professional before making decisions or taking actions based on what you've heard here today. Your use of our content is at your own risk.